Hey all, Electric Roo here. I wanted to talk about components used in our audio amplifiers and some different things that people have mentioned in some of my comments. And this all came about because someone had noticed a type of capacitor that I had used in one of my amplifiers. And a lot of people talk about snake oil and different things in high end equipment and different items, different connectors, different wires, and all that. I'm not going to argue that. I try to keep an open mind about all this because I'm certainly not a high end guy. I call myself sound for the regular guy because I'll never have a listening room. I don't have the room for it, one, and I'll never invest in a lot of money more than I've spent. And my ears are happy now. I'm happy with where I'm at with my audio, and most all my listening usually is near field down here and out of my B&W main speakers. But I wanted to talk about tubes first. Now, a lot of people like to roll tubes and compare tubes. One sounds better than the other, a different style. But I've noticed one thing, that a particular tube might sound better in an amplifier. It doesn't mean the other tube wasn't as good because it has a lot to do with the circuitry also. Now, I noticed in the K288 single ended that I had, I ran L34s, KT88s, KT77s, and that particular amplifier I built with switches to go from pentode, ultralinear, triode. And what I found is I think the triode mode, it should stick with the triode tubes. There are certain tubes out there that make good triode amplifiers, and of course, they're pretty high end. But I really think the pentode mode sounded better in my single ended with the KT88s and the L34 and the KT77s. Now, I can say that in that amplifier, the KT88 sounded much better than the other two tubes, but it has to do a lot with the circuit. Now, in that ST70 clone that I had built, now I run KT77s in there, and I've tried just for the heck of it the L34s, but I really don't notice much of a difference. But what I did notice a difference in that circuit is the tubes I switched from the 12AU7s to the 12BH7s. And that seemed to make a difference. But again, I do believe it has to be the type of tube and the circuit that it was in. And in my tone control, I have two 12DW7s. And also originally I used a 12AU7, but I like the 12BH7 in there in place of the 12AU7. And again, there's a lot of things we add, and a lot of people call snake oil and things you find out. But in my case, I say sound for the regular guy. Just good copper cables, all you need, without spending a whole pile of money and to get good sound. And actually, believe it or not, in my B&W, there was a little controversy over the when I did the video on when I finally put the tube connectors in my BMW from Danny's upgrades at GR Research, and it's surprising to me it didn't make a difference in the top end. So I try to keep an open mind about these things. Let's look at capacitors. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of money for some of these high-end capacitors, the hand wound, the copper, the silver, and all. I'll never listen to those because that's way out of my budget. But again, for the sound for the regular guy, let me say this: In the L84 ST35 clone, I used Illinois caps. And in the L34 amplifier I built, I used Mallory 150s. And the first 6v6, which was a push pull that I made, I used it's the AYDN Iden, not sure how to pronounce that, but Iden Q4s. And the next thing in the 6v6 audio note Kit 4 clone, I used audio cap thetas. And in my audio note P2 SE, the single ended clone, with the 6L6, the parallel single ended clone, I use Solon fast caps. And also for the cathode resistors, I use the Ohmite AG5 series audio caps. And what prompted this video is someone noticed that in the one clone that I built, the ST70 clone, I had some Russian K42Y oil and paper caps, the green ones. Now, as far as capacitors sound, in those and in those circuits, I really didn't notice much difference. Now, maybe in way high-end stuff, you would do that, but for sound for the regular guy, I don't think you need to spend a whole lot of money for capacitors, because at one point in the 6v6 audio note clone, I had uh, I had the Mallorys in there and the yellow ones, and I switched them out to the audio cap thetas just to see. And now those have even got more expensive now. But really, after hours and hours of listening, of all my amps, basically, I have them where they sound particularly the same. And a lot of it has to do, I think, with how the tubes work in a particular circuit, and also output transformers. Now, everybody knows those are important, but in the 6v6 push-pull clone or 6v6 push-pull amplifier that I made some years ago, I used EdCore. And I had a 6L6 push-pull that I also used EdCore. And in the L34 that I made, I used EdCore. Now, in the KT77 amplifier, which is the ST70 clone, I originally used EdCore, but I switched to Hammond, and there was a big difference in the and I don't know whether it's a circuit, but I would say that the Hammond is a better quality than the EdCore. And also in the 6v6 Kit 4 clone, Kit 4 clone, I had EdCore in there, so I switched them out to Habor. And boy, that was a big difference. The Habor is definitely a better transformer, in my opinion, for what I do and use, better than EdCore. Now the KT88 single-ended that I did, I used Transcendar, and it's really good transformer, but you really can't get them anymore. I don't know what happened. He had the website down for a long time, and now I see it's back up, but he's only rebuilding vintage transformers now. So I'm not sure what happened to him there, but maybe he was sick or had something happen. And the ST35 clone, I used Habor with love the results. And that last one I did, the P2SE, the audio note P2SE parallel single ended, I used Habor. And I can tell you at this point how I have everything set up. Mostly all my amplifiers, they sound, sound wise, they highs, lows, detail, imaging, and whatever you want to say, the bass, they all sound comparable to each other. So What's the magic bullet? I don't have an answer for you, but I always wanted to find out for myself. That's why I built my own amplifiers, and that's why I tinker around. I do things just to see how they sound. So, if you have any questions, comments on things that you've done and things that possibly people have called snake oil that you hear yourself a definite difference. What I heard a definite difference when I put better audio cables in, and I heard a definite difference with Danny's tube connectors in my B&W speakers. So that's me, and that's my setup. Now, as I said, sound for the regular guy. I'm not high. I don't consider myself high end. So these guys and you guys all that are lucky enough to have the space to set up an audio room and with everything perfect, or hey, the good for you, and you may notice even more with different components, but I'm satisfied with what I have, and so that's all the advice I can give. So if you have any questions, comments, hey, give a yell. uh, and things are what they are. So God bless and have a good day.